Being recorded.
Are we ready to go?
It's almost time. Do you need the gavel? Is everyone ready? Shirley, you set up?
Yes,
All right.
all set.
Okay, guys, I have 5:30. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the March 9th, 2022 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. And can we have roll, please?
Sure. Remington? Delicio?
Present.
Kelly?
Here.
Thomas?
Here.
Shirley?
Here.
Okay, and you may need to speak up for me, Shirley, when we speak, because I can barely hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll try to speak up.
Do we have any public comments tonight? From anyone? Here or online?
No.
Okay, hearing none.
Bill, would you like to? Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to present Bill Phillips from Fort Wooten. He would like to just speak for a moment during open session, if that's okay.
Sure. Just make sure I don't forget. You mean during new business? Or?
Oh, open comments. Are we there yet? Okay.
No, I'm just wondering. I'm sorry. When did you want him to speak?
During open comments.
Public comment.
Is that not
Public
now?
comment.
Yes, that's
Now.
now. Bill, you're welcome to come up and speak.
Okay. Up here?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I've never been in this
We're
kind of
here,
environment
yes.
before.
In the round.
My name is Bill Phillips, and I'm a Vietnam vet, and I am the managing director of Fort Wooten, and I'm also on the board of directors of the Los Angeles County Veterans Council and American Legion Postal. So, how many people here know where Fort Wooten is?
I do.
Well, that's more than I usually get. Poor Derek, he's the only one.
I know as of today.
And Chris was there today. Let me just start off by saying, a couple of years ago, I talked to Georgie Clark about getting Fort Wooten on the local landmark, or designated as a local landmark. And we did all of the paperwork, and then some things came up, and COVID came up, and it kind of fell on the wayside. But I contacted Chris last week, and I wanted to revive the possibility of getting Fort Wooten as a local landmark. We are on the historic register for the heart of Trinidad. But I just wanted to give a brief history for those who might not know it. But Fort Wooten was built in 1936 and 1937. And it was built as a memorial. It was called Memorial Square. It was built as a memorial to World War I veterans. And it was a large project. It was headed up by Ivy Rogers. And the land was donated by Holloway. And the facility itself is a 31,000 square foot fort. We have a picture of it hanging in one of the conference rooms here for all those to see. And it was built by the WPA during that area. Over 200 people were employed. All of the sandstone that goes into the fort was locally mined. The local masons were involved. It was a large project. Ivy Rogers had to get with not only the state and federal government, but the local government in order to make this happen. And it happened over a period of 2 years. In 1937, it was dedicated to it wasn't called the Los Angeles County Veterans Council, it was called, I think, the Veterans Council of Los Angeles County. And that organization had in it the 6 individual forts that are within Fort Wooten. And those were the Disabled American Vets, the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign War, the Sons of Confederate Soldiers, the Sons of Union Soldiers, and the Spanish War Veterans. So those are 6 individual forts that were part of the complex. On the east end of the complex is Holloway Hall, which is a large auditorium. And on the west side is what we call Fort Wooten. It's got Fort Wooten on it, but it's really the administration building for the facility. It was deeded to, I believe, the city at the time, and the veterans were given a 50-year lease to use that facility with all the utilities covered, all the maintenance covered. A caretaker was provided. There is a caretaker's quarters within Fort Wooten. Everything was taken care of for the veterans. Those 6 organizations were thriving at the time, and they all met at the fort. Unfortunately, something happened in 1942, other than World War II, and that was probably part of it. But the veterans were evicted, asked to leave, whatever. We don't know why. We can speculate, but we really don't know. In 2006, an organization was started called the Los Angeles County Veterans Council. And it is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And it was a group of veterans that got together with the whole sole purpose of getting the fort back in the hands of the veterans. It was a challenge, and from 2006 to 2018, these guys worked diligently. I think Luton just came in. Luton Dawes is our chairman of the board. Luton, you might want to come up here so they can see you. They started working with the county to get it back in the hands of the vets. And that happened in June of 2018. In June of 2018, the county deeded Fort Wooten back to the Los Angeles County Veterans Council. So we as veterans and the other non-veterans who are part of the organization have worked diligently over the last few years, revamping the fort, trying to get it rehabilitated. Our charter at this stage is to rehabilitate Fort Wooten for the safe, sanitary, and comfortable use by veterans and the community of Trinidad and Los Angeles County. That's our charter. Everything we do is around getting the veterans back into Fort Wooten and getting the fort as a community asset. In 2019, we had a historic structure assessment done by the State Historic Society, or Colorado State Historic Fund. We had an architectural firm come in and they did a structure assessment on the fort. And it was based on trying to not restore Fort Wooten, but to rehabilitate Fort Wooten. And the difference being, rehabilitate means we want it to look the same, but we should be able to have modern conveniences such as heat and electricity and air conditioning and the modern conveniences of internet and that sort of thing. That was done, that was finished. We have had many events in the facility. We are in the process of trying to update the electricity in the facility. But during this whole process, one of our main concerns is we don't want to see Fort Wooten go away. We believe it is truly an asset to the community. It's an asset to the veterans. And we want to make sure that it stays in Trinidad. And it's there for folks who live here and the veterans who live here 50 years from now, 100 years from now, for perpetuity. When I'm gone, Luton's gone, we're going to be gone, and we want the fort to be there. So that was one of the reasons for coming to Georgie and now to Chris to say, we think this should be a landmark in the city of Trinidad. And so that's some of the history, and I'm just here to say we're reopening it. The applications are already done. We haven't signed all of the documents yet, Chris came to the fort today. If you have not been to the fort, I encourage you to come there. It's a 31,000 square foot facility. It covers a half a city block. It is a big facility. And for a long time, the veterans and the community of Trinidad and Los Alamos County didn't know what it was. It was just there for the Department of Human Services. So, but now it's open. It's there for all of us, and we'd like to make sure it stays that way. Go ahead.
I just had a question because if you are familiar with the land marking process, there is some budget allocated to get the final product created.
That would be great. That would be great. I mean, we've held a lot of fundraisers and continue to hold a lot of fundraisers, and quite frankly, the city of Trinidad has been extremely helpful. They gave us $25,000 the first year, and that literally got us going and allowed us to do a lot of things with the facility. And but the next phase is about $200,000, and that's a lot of money.
Well, this is only for landmarking, getting the landmark application completed.
Okay.
That's what our commission has money for. Is that correct, Chris? We have about $2,000 for 6 buildings.
Once we have our approved budget, we should be able to do that, but we're almost complete with this application. Georgie did most of this work.
Good. They must have done a lot of research on their own.
We did.
And
Yeah, we did.
they provided most of the information historically.
The historic structure assessment had a historian, and they came in and spent a lot of time going through the fort, documenting everything. And there is an electronic copy of it available. It's in the hands of Chris.
So what remains on the application, or where are we with that?
We're doing some final reviews, and getting some documents signed. And if everything goes well, we should have it ready for next month's meeting for landmarking.
That'll be awesome. And Bill, did you say, I might have not heard you in the very beginning when you started speaking, did you say you are nationally landmarked, or no? Did I hear that correctly?
We are part of the heart of Trinidad. So
Oh, you're in the district, you're in the
in that district, so we
Okay.
are part of this we're on the state historic register as well as the national register.
Okay, that's what I wasn't. That seems like it would be good support for a local landmark process, so, yeah. And
Yeah, we have everything here. We're just doing some fine tuning, and it should be ready by next month.
Luke,
Thank you for coming to the meeting.
well, thank you for having us. And Luke, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think you've covered most of it. The reason I got involved with the fort is that it had been.
Can you all hear him?
Can you hear me or not?
Stand
the
up to
Yeah.
speak mic right
Good
here.
mind, please.
Okay. The reason I got involved back in about 2007, I wasn't one of the originators. I came along because I was a vet and I was interested in what they were trying to do. At that point, I was just interested. And eventually I became convinced that the fort, as a historic structure, as well as could just be a historic structure. And I was concerned at one stage that there was a sort of move to turn it into some kind of a museum. That didn't particularly appeal to me because we have a number of museums already in town that show what's going on in the county and in the city and what has gone on since the city was first founded. But what we did need was a people facility, and it had that joint facility of being a historic structure, being basically given to the veterans as a people organization, and it still has in Fort in the Holloway Hall, it's probably the biggest social venue that the city has got. Part of it has currently been subdivided off, and it was used as a creche for human services. But the old pictures that go around the wall of all the flags continue through that space, and it's a relatively easy thing is to take that down. And then the hall becomes available for every kind of social event that you want to run in Trinidad. So it can be a centre first for Veterans Affairs, and my personal vision is to see everything connected with veterans centred in the fort, because it's a logical place, the space is there, and it brings unity amongst all of the things that happen for and on behalf of veterans. We have lots of parades and lunches and all sorts of things, but they're not particularly well coordinated at this stage. And the fort offers all of that, but as a historic place and as a people-centered place, it really is a landmark, and I hope that it stays there for a very long time as a people-centered organisation right in the centre of the city.
And you know, I'll just comment quickly, that was really consistent with, I think, the theme of the Saving Places Conference, which is the annual conference that the History Colorado sponsors, and that idea that it's not just bricks and mortars, that it's a living building, it's a living part of history, you know, that it's not static, that it can still be used and should be used, you know, in this way. So it's kind of interesting that you're describing it so consistent with, you know, this definition that they're looking at. Do you know what I'm saying?
I didn't know that was the definition, but that
Well, I'm
nice
just
to be able to fit.
reflecting on that. Would you agree, Chris, or Derek, Jean? Yeah. Yeah.
And if you come to the
Definitely.
fort, you'll feel its personality.
Oh, yes. I appreciate
And I
the
think we
tour.
should, I want to say one thing, we should thank Pete Frazier, Priscilla Frazier, if you remember her, she was the county manager in
Oh, yes.
2018 and all the county commissioners that voted to, after they had spent almost 20 years trying to get the building back into the veterans' hands. And I really like your focus and your priority, and we hope we can help you do more events there. I've attended several events, and it's very clean, you've kept it up, the facility looks wonderful. So I hope we can keep rehabilitating it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your work over there.
I know.
And I do have there's a document or a brochure that we put out. And I brought several of them just so you can take a look at that. We have more at the fort if you wish to, if you need to bring more, I can do that.
Can we trade brochures? Can we give you one of ours?
I did get one.
Did you get one?
But I think Whitney did.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I brought some today.
This
well, we
is
look forward to working with you.
amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Alrighty, so let's get to our item number 3, approval of the January 12th minutes. Does anyone have any changes, thoughts, comments?
Did we get those corrected?
Yes, and I provided a new copy because I used the wrong Tom. And
So,
there's some other edits that I made.
Jean, did I see a hand raised?
Yeah, I just have one minor correction. It's under that C or the budget. And the roll call was taken, and we should add, and the motion was approved. If that's okay, on item C in the minutes about the 2022 budget, you have roll call was taken, but there was nothing about if the motion was approved. So I just thought you should add, and the motion was approved.
Right, and there was a question about that, and if it is a simple matter of adjusting these minutes to reflect that there was a vote taken, then we would not be taking one tonight.
Or you could amend you could approve as amended. So, you state the amendment and then you can make a motion to approve as amended.
Okay. So I think I'm hearing that we do want to amend the minutes at 6C4 to reflect the fact that there was a vote taken on the motion to approve the budget at the January 12th meeting. Were there any other changes? Okay, so shall we have a motion to approve these minutes as amended?
I motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Shirley?
Oh, pardon.
So there's been a second.
There's been a second.
She did second it, okay.
already seconded, what am I supposed to do? Just say I agree?
No,
Well, they're gonna-
now you call the vote.
Yeah.
So now you
You just
go around.
vote.
Okay, thank you guys. We have a second, can we have a vote on the amended minutes for the January 12th meeting?
Remington, Delicio,
Yes?
Kelly,
Yes.
Thomas,
Approve.
Shirley,
Yes.
The minutes have been approved, thank you guys. All right. We'd like to move on, we don't have any public hearings tonight, is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay. And then item number 5, new business. Any new business?
So if it's not on the agenda, it's really not presentable. So
I'm
new
sorry, I
business.
can't hear you, Scott.
So if it's not on the agenda, there's really no motion that can be made. So new business, by the virtue of there not being nothing there, there is nothing
Okay.
on the agenda. So we've got to get that on
So
the
we
agenda.
have no new business, and if we did, it would have been on the agenda, is that what you're saying?
Right. So we if there's new business for the next meeting, we can kind of discuss that at the end,
Okay.
and then put that on the agenda for the next meeting. But yeah, items not on the agenda can't be voted on.
I appreciate your guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, 6, unfinished business. We do have a couple of different items, starting with A, the Saving Places Impressions and Report. I just want to start off by saying thank you, a big thank you to Chris, to the city for facilitating our attendance. What a treasure of information. It was just, I wish I had been able to go in person, but
Yeah.
thank you so much, Chris. It's sort of like herding cats, I would imagine.
I say kittens, but okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I thank the city as well. It's the History
Chris,
Colorado.
I will have my report in within a week.
That would be appreciated. Yes, I appreciate 3 reports of 3 of the classes that you attended, and it's just a brief synopsis. It's not anything.
I emailed one to you.
Right, I've got everything for you, so
Okay.
just everyone else turn in your receipts, Jean, and everyone else turn in your reports. And Jana turned in her reports, but somebody got her copy, so I'm gonna note. I'll send an email to Jana to let her know.
That,
I did not get her copies.
oh, okay. Because she had a hard copy, I think, that she
Yeah.
brought to the work session.
I
so.
remember that. And
I sent mine. It just, yes,
No, I didn't get them.
I emailed it.
All right, well then I'm gonna check for yours.
So yeah, as soon as we get all those in, then we can so where did those end up going, Chris? Does History Colorado get those?
They're submitted to History Colorado to suffice their grant requirements. They have they had paid for the trip for us to
Right.
go, but and in return we need to attend 3 classes and have 3 reports turned in and turn in the expenses as the requirements.
really well worth it. So I don't know if we want to take time tonight to do any of that sort of just broad stroke kind of impressions, thoughts, of the conference itself. I think that, we wanted to, and we will incorporate at least some of the themes when we do our outreach event in June. But Jean, Shirley, Derek, do you have any comments on the sessions that you attended or that you want to share?
I can share since I wasn't at the work session. I've taken quite a few, but the ones I'm going to report on probably, and some of the ones I thought I could access, I wasn't able to, probably because maybe I tried to get in them too late or something, So next year I'll either be in person and try harder or something, to make my mind up earlier. But I think the one that, one of the ones I'll report on, excuse me. Anyway, I attended the one I thought was really good was a lightning talk on Monday afternoon. And what it was we talked about 4 technological facets, I guess. But what they involved were like add-ons of historic buildings, which I thought probably we would have something to do with at some point. Approval of those add-ons. And I guess I don't know who in our city approves add-ons to historic buildings, anyway. And then buildings and systems, which is what Bill was talking about earlier, actually using buildings, not just having them as a museum or something, having them really be usable. And then and one of the main things I talked about was climate and how it affects older buildings and, sea level rise, things like that may affect not us, but some places. And then I attended the roundtable one also that afternoon. That was different towns, Aspen, Boulder, Crested Butte, and Denver. And different kinds of problems they have with the process, the approval process, and then the section 106 approval process that the state also goes through. And so I thought that was something useful and that we will be using ourselves. I guess that's enough for now. I'll turn in the report in a little bit more depth.
Well, Shirley, your background's in archaeology, right?
Right. So I've done a lot of section 106.
106.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like getting everything ready to turn into the state.
Right.
Yeah. So anytime we need something like that, I'd be happy to help because I do have a background in preparing documents and what have you, packages for turning it into the State Historic Preservation Office.
Thank you. Jean, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, it's with the last one I went to, it was a town in Nebraska, Red Cloud, Nebraska. And if you ever liked Willa Cather as a novelist,
Right.
she has a big fan.
Yes.
Willa Cather, yeah, she's from Red Cloud, Nebraska, and they've made a very prominent effort in the town for economic development, and her foundation has renovated several historical buildings. They have a artist in residence for people to go there in that historical building, and it was quite a well done presentation by 2 architects from Nebraska. So it was I'm going to make a big thing for that hopefully I can report about that because our town is similar to, we have so many artists and historical characters here that could be involved in this type of renovation or rehabilitation and historical representation. So that was one I really wanted to tell you about.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a way or if this is, the right place or time to talk about just how we sort of transmit this, information and share it among the various entities in Trinidad that deal with historic structures, because of course there's the the district, the Main Street. And I'm assuming that they have conferences that they go to, or that they have input about some of these same, topics. I just really don't know, and that's part of the reason I think, we can talk about it at some point. I don't think we put it on the agenda about having the liaison to city council so that
I've
we
been
can.
wondering that's the beginning.
Sorry,
how
Sheree, I
we
can't
work
hear you.
with these other groups.
Say again?
I've been wondering since the very beginning how it is the commission works with these various other
Yeah.
historic groups. Yeah. Could someone explain that?
Yeah, because
So
I
we have
think.
had go ahead, Chris.
Jean, you go ahead.
No, Chris, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's other groups that are in Trinidad, of course, but I've been sharing any events that I come across with the group, and I expect anyone who has knowledge to do the same. And then us, in regards to a liaison, Miss Kelly and Miss Shirley, I did reach out to our mayor and ask if he would ask for a historic preservation liaison,
Yeah,
but that has to be a volunteer, so.
right. Well, I think, and I
was just curious.
think we weren't.
Together or
We
not.
weren't clear on or if there was criteria or some, classification to have a liaison. And I think that's only part of it, it's just a kind of.
I mean, wouldn't that be a question for city council? Or we could ask at a public
I don't know.
meeting?
Yeah, that's what I asked the mayor to ask council if they could volunteer someone, but everyone has a group already,
Right.
so it would be a duplication of volunteering on their
But I
part.
mean, isn't there somebody from the Historic Preservation Commission on city council?
Not at this time.
No.
Erin Ogletree, city councilor. She was on the historic
She
preservation.
used to be on the commission.
Oh, at one time you mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, yes.
They came
I'm
from there,
sorry.
came from here.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't they be willing to work with us?
Well, we met with Main Street group. We met, Penny Saidi came and tried to work with us, and we just need to keep communicating. And
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time. I mean, people are working on a lot of different commissions, and they
Yeah.
spend their volunteer time.
So I think there's two types of liaison being discussed. One is to have a council liaison to historic preservation, and that would be a decision for council to make.
Right.
What I've seen in Santa Fe is that some commissions had commission members who volunteered to also attend other commissions and then report back. So if one of you guys wanted to select amongst yourselves someone who would attend Main Streets or these other commissions,
Yeah.
or coordinate that, maybe 1 month you'll attend Main Street, the other month Main Street will come to us. That could be something we could organize more or less unofficially without going through council. That's something, of course, the public meetings anybody can attend, but that can be something you intentionally do to bridge those gaps between the different commissions.
Yeah, and thank you, and I think that we need to think about that, because we aren't gonna be just passive and say, well, come to us, we need to make efforts as well, and we definitely wanna do that. It's just sort of figuring out, what makes sense, for everybody to do that. So, yeah,
I also
Jean, go ahead.
But I also think we need to partner with the tourism board, because they are the ones that have several documents and consultants that have been paid to do those historical buildings. There's that video we all talked about. I don't know if you saw it. It was on their Facebook, and they have different historical narrative with the building pictures. So I think we need to partner with tourism to make sure we can use all the materials that they've created that are visible for all of our, keep ourselves informed.
Right, and I think, so you're referring to the, for lack of a better term, the digital adaptation of the walk through history that Christy Rogers put together. And I think, so she did that, let's see, well, I'm gonna get this correct, in her capacity with the, I think for the tourism board, but did she contract for that? I'm not sure how that came about. I'm not sure how important that is, but yes, it's an amazing tool. And I saw it and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, we need to use this, and we will. And we'll talk about that when we talk about our outreach event. But yeah, there's lots of different ways we need to cross-pollinate, and hopefully we can take Sky's suggestion as well as anything else, you know, to make sure that we're talking to each other and to stay focused too. For me, I had to ask myself, so what is the role, the distinct role of this commission, right? Because we're not Main Street, we're not, you know, these other boards and commissions, and is it just to, not just, but is it to focus on landmarking? I'm guessing, yes, right? That's our priority, to focus on landmarking. And in our mission statement, of course, we talk about public outreach as well, you know, doing education. So I think just making sure that we're on the right track. Is this our role? Is this the role of a historic preservation commission, you know, as it's expected, not just here, but sort of across our state? I don't know the answer really to that question, but. And
I think it's all of the above. We need to do all of the above. So just whenever we're in public or we're meeting other people, or maybe we plan each of us to go to each of the meeting once a month to go to the other meetings, it might work out as a special good idea. So
Yeah.
they get to know us, they get to know who we are, and we can go and talk in their public comments, just like Bill Phillips did, and tell them what we're doing and how they can help us, and ask them to come to our meetings. So maybe I'd like to take the tourism board maybe once a month or every other month or something, because I think we need to have access to a lot of the materials they've created and have paid good consultant money for.
Yeah, it's sharing resources for sure. Go ahead, Shirley.
I said I would be happy to attend one of the other boards' meetings, having maybe the Corazon or Main Street, either one. Or if there's even another one that you guys, that I may not know about out there, I'll be happy to attend.
Well, maybe we should put it in new business for next month, and I'll make a list of some of the boards I think we should attend, and then people can volunteer.
That would be great.
Noted.
Okay, so
Yeah, if you could do that, Jean, I think that would be super. And then we can make sure it stays on the radar. Anything else then on that, on the conference, or sort of our communication and our role? If not, let's move to 6B, to city-owned buildings, review of City of Trinidad City Hall landmark progress. Miss Chris.
Where are we? At the end of our meeting, or where are we at? Sorry.
We're at city-owned buildings, the review of the, I think that's you, I don't mean to put you on the spot there. Is that
Weren't we just?
something you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, it's just City Hall landmark progress.
Oh, okay. Sorry, somebody took my agenda.
Uh-oh.
So, okay, on the landmark progress. This has been something that Georgie had started again, just like, oh, thank you. Just like Fort Wooten, this process was started, and it hasn't gone to anyone for a official report yet. So I did contact our finance department, and they told me that, hey, you don't have a budget, so hence is the budget to put forward in the letter, and the letter has been sent to Mike Valentine and Cheryl, so I'm hoping to get some status as to when it will be presented to council, so we can proceed with the landmarking. And I'm gonna go, I already have all the documents together, they just need to be formulated professionally and presented, and then we can go through that whole process.
Do
Is
you
that
know,
something you do, Audra? I'd be happy to help in any way I can. I don't know if that's something city does or what, but if you need help, let me know.
Typically, it went to Boomsma, and I don't know if we're using her services still or not, but I'm assuming we are, because she was contracted before. And it was in our budget
right,
to utilize her, so I appreciate your offer, Shirley, but I think I have to go with the original intent in this. If not, we can make it some changes, because we have done this before. I mean, we just finished Carnegie Library, so it's gonna be the same process.
So, what? We have budget for a contractor.
I don't know the, maybe Jean chime in at any time, what the, sort of parameters are, or the, how can I say, I'm not sure that that's an appropriate role for,
One of our
for the
members.
commission. I think it's, I mean, if we have the capacity and the expertise to do it, is that something commissions do, or is this strict to be kept, on a professional consultant basis? I don't have anything to compare it to. I just don't know.
Well,
look
Chris
into that.
What's that?
See, I think that you're right, the contractor is the way to go, since we are the people who end up approving it in
Yeah,
the
we're
long
not
run.
supposed to.
Yeah, that's a
We're
conflict
not
of
supposed to be
interest.
involved at all.
Yes.
But we'll look at your, whatever you can do the review, and if you have any, input, of course, we'll consider that. So
Sure, no problem.
we can go that route, Shirley. I appreciate your offer.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just, we have to get clarification. So is there any way of kind of predicting or knowing, so the letter for our budget letter, we'll call it, goes to the city manager, and then he reviews it, and then it's put on the agenda for city council? Do we know, are we weeks, months, how far away are we? Do we know?
Well, unfortunately, we missed the first quarter for marijuana money, so I'm hoping to get a second quarter, opening for marijuana money, and hopefully it will not take more than a month. I'll have to confirm with the city manager. My goal is to make sure it's done before he leaves, so.
What's the time frame, so the second quarter monies would be available when, approximately?
That would be March. I'm thinking, we're on a calendar year, so it should be, but there's no reason why it can't be reviewed before that.
Yeah.
And then appropriated.
So I think probably May would be when the council would vote on that, when those budgets would be prepared.
Well, we're hoping to do, we're doing this outreach event June 3rd, and we have allocated, we will need some money to do that. Not a lot, but certainly we were hoping to be able to pay for, some services for that. So for food, for tables, etc. And it's,
So I'll definitely get with Mr. Valentine and get a time frame to report at the next meeting. find out, we confirm that time frame as far as when those funds will be available.
That would be great. Anything else on that?
And I,
No.
I'm here.
Okay, we can do an overview of the outreach event that we're planning for June 3rd, and we did have a work session last Friday, so I don't know that we'll, go into a lot of detail, but we can do an overview of that. We did come up with a title. That was a big accomplishment, right, Derek? And it is Echoes of History, Saving Trinidad's Past, was what we came up with. So we're hoping that that works for everybody. Shirley, Jean, what do you think?
I
Good?
thought it was beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, that was mostly Jana's crafting.
And yours.
And then we also have, I did send an email today. We have a draft, save the date. Did you all get that? I think there's an extra one or two. So this is what it looks like. And we know we'd have to process this at least through Audra to have it approved, and she did. Chris kindly did put one in front of her, it looks like today, and I've got a couple of notes about things that need to be edited, which is great, and we can do that. So we'll also change that photo on top for it to be the graphic of the Chappelle House, not this photo. We'll integrate that into the design as well. Any comments or feedback? I'd like to get any feedback from the commissioners by the end of this week, and then we'd really like to get this out sooner rather than later as just a placeholder. The Trinidad History Museum has been super interested in working with us on this, and they're trying to get that Heritage Garden back up to speed, and I think having, a June 3rd event would just be a really great use of both, showing off the Chappelle House with its local landmark, and then we get to walk across the street and be in the beautiful garden, maybe have some music, some info tables, and the idea is we would specifically invite the Corazon, Main Street, some of the other entities that we work with to have a table, have information tables, but of course the general public as well. And then have Christy Rogers do a cool multimedia sort of presentation of that walking tour. We could put a screen up on that covered porch at the History Museum, and she could talk about how it works so people could actually use it. And she tentatively has agreed to do that. I contacted her and she said she would be good to do that. And we did reserve the space at the History Museum, but so hopefully we can pull this off. We were talking about doing another work session, which I know, is kind of another meeting, but I think we need to, there'll be a lot of other little details that we'll need to go over, and it would be a good idea to do that.
I've been really thinking about what Chris was talking about at the work session about having like a storyteller or something like that. Something to bring people in.
Having what?
Like a storyteller. Like a main event.
Yeah, like there's storytelling groups that get together and tell stories. That's, as a, entertainment.
Right, like a main event, have people come to see and then learn all the stuff that's there.
Well, we talked about tentatively, then roughed out the agenda. So it would be basically, we start at Chappelle House, Tom goes and does a guided tour, people do that, say 30 minutes, we come back across the street, and I believe, and we can tweak this if this is what the commission wants to do, but we had already kind of settled on, we would do a 5-minute sort of overview, 5 to 10 minutes, the commissioners, here we are, this is historic preservation, this is what we do, talk landmarking up in a general way. And then I think that Jana had asked Tom Potter from the library to do a little talk about accessing records and how people can do their own research at the library with those resources. And then our main sort of event was going to be Christy doing this, look at this great walking tour on screen, flipping through, and that's a lot of storytelling if you've looked at that. And I've only looked at parts of it. I need to review the whole thing, but it's really neat because it is basically this. And I don't know again how many of you have ever. I got this from Georgie when I first came on the commission, and this is the Trinidad Historical Society's publication, and it's just amazingly. It's full of details, stories galore about the various properties in Trinidad. So she did a lot of magic with this sort of very tiny print, probably not very user-friendly, forgive me, but booklet, and made it into something I think that, can really be used in a lot of ways. So I think it just seemed like a good venue for that to be promoted. And that was going to be the program, and then we didn't want to have it be too long or too, sort of didactic and kind of stuffy, and we wanted it to be fun. So that was the thinking on the program. So I don't know if that satisfies the storytelling piece. I think we can have, again, little, we can have tables where other things are going on. Like storytelling, we talked about some other sort of activity, kind of hands-on sorts of things, but these are details we would need to talk about, I think, in a work session.
Did you have something to say, Jane?
Well, I like the agenda that you planned, and it is an overview first time. And since we don't have the budget, how can we hire a storyteller? We don't even know if we have the budget approved till probably late May. So I think the structure you planned is really pretty thorough. It's only 2 hours, right? 3 to 5?
Correct. Yeah, and I don't want to harp on that too much, but we really do need to have. These were all tentative requests that were made by folks. We want to get this out like right away.
I'm just saying that it's an annual thing, so I'm just talking about for the future. In order to bring people in and have them learn about what we do, I think we should have like a main event next year.
That's a good idea.
That's all I'm
Right,
saying.
with better planning, right.
Right, and I hear you, and I think this is sort of a fledgling attempt to say, we need to do outreach.
Right.
We need to talk to the community about what is the Historic Preservation Commission. So I think, yes, that there's other opportunities and bigger opportunities, if you will. Yes.
We also have Tom Murphy to be the storyteller right in this building. That's a story in itself to hear that, how he brought that together. So
Right.
I think that this year would be good. He's our main storyteller, how that process of landmarking, how he evolved it and worked for himself in this building.
I
I like your idea about having a future, maybe some more.
Yeah, I really
some other
agree
storytelling.
about, the storytelling, and this is all connected. Some of the things that we've been talking about tonight with, Bill and Luton were talking about Fort Wooten and, how it's an ongoing, stories are being developed there, now. And this idea of using actual storytelling to tell the story of a building is and how important it's been in the past and what it might be for the future. So however we weave that in, I think is something we're all on the same page about. And if there's a bigger way to do it or a way to highlight it better, then I think we definitely we could do that too. So, I guess I'm a little bit stymied because I don't know,
I think we should propose another work session and formulate, or cement the event, because they're like Derek said, I think we need another hook to get people interested and come back every year.
Yeah.
And maybe if we partnered with the tourism board to get, something that drew people in from around Colorado or across the country, that brought them in and say, oh, look what they're doing, I need to be a part of this.
Exactly.
We need to discuss this further.
I think
work
so. I do. Yes, I think for this first one, because it is like lots of.
It's a baby.
It's right. Well, it's right around the
And I
corner.
apologize, I wasn't here when it was even brought up. Like, the work session was my first time even hearing about it. And I didn't even know that we were meeting for that. I thought we were meeting for the Saving Places thing. But when I heard you say something about a storyteller, I was like, man, that's a really good idea. And I just been thinking about it all week. Like, man, how do you get the community involved? Because that's what the Saving Places conference was all about. That's what we said this was about, was getting community involvement. And I'm just like, are they going to be involved with something they can watch on the tour? You know what I mean? They can watch the tour on.
Right.
But I understand that that's set in stone, cemented. I'm just saying for the future, we need to think about better event. Like,
Outreach.
yeah, better main event.
Bringing people
Exactly.
from all over in that have specialties in storytelling or historic preservation.
There's so much we could do.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
so
just a
many
huge range of
It's a wonderful idea.
events. So I'm gonna sort of not defend, but I think this is actually pretty awesome what we've planned so far in terms of, trying to integrate and bring. If you take a look at this product
I love
online,
it. It's beautiful.
the one that she did.
Yeah, I seen. Isn't that the one you sent, right, Jean, to everybody?
I think I found it on the tourism board.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of confused about what we're talking. I know about the yellow form, but I'm not.
Well, the video
Not
tour.
too late. Oh, the video clips, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one, I
That's who
did
she's-
find that.
that's who
somehow.
she's talking
and
right
so
there.
that is like a fundamental, that's a basic tool that if we can help leverage that, if we can help get that out, I think that's would be a remarkable
That would be a
accomplishment, frankly.
Great outreach
For
for the first
our
year.
first go. So yeah, and I think we need to figure out the money. We need to get the information out and try to pull this together. So a work session seems definitely to be in order. And does anybody have any suggestions about? I think we had looked at Friday mornings working pretty good for people, generally speaking.
Are you thinking about mid-April or what month are you thinking for Friday?
So we're at
This Friday,
March
I'm still
9th.
gone. I won't be back until the 15th myself.
That's what I was thinking, maybe April 1st or something around April, so we have a month because June 1st comes quick.
Yeah, what about Friday, April 1st at 10?
Just don't make
Yeah,
it
that's
April
good for
Fool's
me.
joke.
Sorry.
I said, just don't make it an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I know. I knew there had to be a joke in there some way.
Sorry, I missed the last Friday. That's fine. Go for me.
Shirley,
What time?
10 o'clock, Friday the 1st of April?
I didn't catch the time, I'm sorry.
10 a.m., sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
I'd like to invite Tom Murphy to come because I think we could dress him up and he would be a great storyteller. I think
June?
he's got the capacity for our
April
first one
1st.
anyway, and then get him to give us some ideas. So if he would
Do you wanna,
maybe be
sorry,
involved.
do you wanna formulate a story for April 1st work session?
I can do that pretty off the cuff. So, what's the
Yeah,
story about? About my place?
Yes, the history of your place. He pretty much knows that by heart now, but,
Yeah, can we meet there?
How long?
Can we have the meeting there?
Oh, yeah,
oh,
sure,
at your
okay.
place. Oh, I
Okay.
see. Can we do that, Tom?
What day is that?
April 1st at 10 a.m.
What day? of the week?
Friday,
Oh, yeah. Probably at 10 a.m.? Okay.
if there's not a conflict with the meeting.
Yeah, well, Fridays there generally aren't, as long as I don't have a funeral, which I don't know ahead of time, so.
Yes.
So let me make sure I understand. So we're using the term storytelling and guided tour. Are those the same things? So it's a storytelling guided tour of the Chappelle House. Is that what you're asking Tom to do, or?
Oh, well, no. I guess when I say tell his story, it's tell the historical value of his place.
So I'm kind of confused. So the work session is not a storytelling session. The storytelling is being planned for the June event. Not
Right.
being done at the April 1st event.
But Tom is a part of the event.
Right,
So
but
I
it's
think
mostly planning, right? It's not that Tom is
Yeah.
be put on the spot to do
I
anything.
did not hear Jean
Okay.
and what she was proposing, and I apologize
Well, it
for
was a
that,
little
Jean.
confusing, so I was just trying to clarify.
Yes.
So now you're just gonna meet at my place and talk about it. I don't have to have the story ready yet.
No. Well, if you're welcome
always
to
ready,
attend,
isn't
All right.
since you're there, and compile your story if you like.
Okay. Just have to tell me how long you want it to be and how deep, because I've got lots of stories and I can talk a lot.
Could we leave it like this? Could we, if you are able to attend that session, and we can kind of nail it down at that point when we meet on the 1st and say, this is what, we're all on the same page and this is what we would like you to do. Does that work?
If you're available?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're
Good
set.
summary, Elizabeth.
What's that?
I said, good summary, Elizabeth, and I think we should start looking for next year, like Derek said, just to keep it moving. It's not too early to start planning a next year thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think once we, get a cycle or some kind of rhythm, we definitely want this to be an annual event, and it definitely does need to be built into the planning process. So we're just kind of, we're getting our legs basically. So it's going to be a little what it is, I think. Oh. How about that for a summary? All right.
Write that in the minutes,
Moving on to number 7, reports. Do we have a chairperson's report? I think that would be Jana, but she's not here. I don't have a specific report.
I have
Yeah.
a brief report.
So, commissioners' reports, planning administrators' report. Go for it, Chris.
All right. Okay, you were asking what our purpose is, and I'm hoping this makes it a little bit clearer, because I attended the grant workshop for the State Historical Fund.
Yeah.
And what they do really does tie into what we do, as our purpose. So, let me just read some of this. National Park Service administers the Historic Preservation Fund on behalf of the Secretary of the Interior. And those funds are appropriated between the Tribal Historic Preservation Fund and the State Historic Preservation Fund. And they share those funds with the CLG, the Certified Local Governments. And that is what we are certified as. So we are a part of that, grant opportunities. We provide the outreach to the community to let them know what kind of grants are out there. And we pass that on to the State Historical Fund and History Colorado. And what I learned at the meeting that I attended was that the State Historical Fund has two types of grants. They have the competitive grants, which have general grants and mini grants, and they cover a lot of biopic projects and stuff in that nature. And we funnel those, like anyone that has any opportunities, we funnel them to the State Historical Fund. And basically, they went over how that works, and I put everything in a report and what their guidelines are and what their deadlines are and how the submittals work. And primarily I take care of all of the, submittal deadlines and stuff like that. But what I wanted to focus on tonight was the preservation tax credits. And there's typically two types of rehabilitation credits that are offered by the state. And one is for owner-occupied residences, and the other one is the commercial buildings. And they offer the 20% state tax credit for the rehabilitation of historic owner-occupied residences. And there's an additional credit for properties located in designated disaster areas. So you'll see the 20% offering, and then it goes up to 35%. That 5% is for disaster areas, and the additional 10% is for properties in rural areas. And if you find any applicants, they're urged to contact History Colorado's Office of Archaeology and Historic Preservation, the OAHP, and they can start the application process, or a CLG can do it. And that's what our involvement is. So I just wanted to point that out, that that's our involvement. Hey, Dean.
Could we get the Fort Wooten involved in that? Could we apply for them in that commercial building?
I brought this up to him. I brought it up to him, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons they're getting landmarked, but they have a little bit of indigestion with city involvement, state involvement, and especially federal involvement.
I wonder why.
So I'm trying to get them to overcome that. And it's probably gonna take
all of us to get them
You have to
to
get
overcome
them
that.
some Tums. You have to get them some Tums or something.
Exactly, but I am so excited they did come forward, and we're going to do our best to evaluate Fort Wooten. And hopefully that's going to be completed and ready for the next meeting. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you are.
I wasn't aware of these additional numbers, or that there was more tax credit available for the, what'd you say, the disaster?
Yeah, if there's an area that's certified as a disaster area,
Hmm.
and it's been like certified 4 years ago, it qualifies for a state grant. Or a matching, it's a 20% match of whatever is spent. You were at the meeting with me. And there's some, it goes up to $1 million, and you can submit an application once a year, so.
So you're saying, and I apologize if because I just keep by my dense about this, saying that the Historic Preservation Commission is really the way that the CLG operationalizes its mission. In other words,
We're
A
a
way-
certified local government, and so my office can take in applications and submit them to the state. And that's why they use all of the CLGs across the state to do that. And that's why it's so important that we have these meetings, maintain our outreach.
have we
Do
done
what
that
we do.
as the city? I mean, historically, is that kind of how it's worked before here in Trinidad? I mean,
Yeah, that's why they certified us and put us on.
Well, the big example is the Space to Create. That was done through all of the previous work of the Marshall, Terra Marshall, and the DOL, and that $18 million project is totally involved with us being a CLG.
oh, it
Space
was.
to Create.
Oh, I didn't know
That
that.
was
In our
done.
mission statement.
Huh. Okay.
So those 3 buildings downtown were maintained historically. The Tolar building where now the galleries are going into, the 1.3 million for the gallery repair, that 18 million has been part of why the city got the CLG status with Terra Marshall over 8 years ago.
Oh, that's really helpful to know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having that background and context is really important. Yeah.
And they have requirements that we have to have meetings and turn in minutes and do public outreach. So
Plus
So
the
we're-
art district.
just wanted to give you
So
some
we do have some values. So we do
Yes.
need a city council liaison.
Well, we are important. That's,
We are
that's
important.
what I'm trying to
Yes,
stress.
right. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
just sort of highlighting that and bringing it home a little bit. Thank you, Jean. So was there an active Historic Preservation Commission involved with that, with the Space to Create? I mean, was there an existing commission? I guess there would have had to have been, right? Ah,
I was on it when they had the meetings that
oh,
they
you,
talked about the renovation of the Tolar building and all the buildings, how they maintained them with historical history research on how they should be maintained, the windows, the exterior. So
Okay.
that was the biggest project that I was involved in, and that was over 4 years ago, so when they finally broke ground and did all the construction, so. Yeah, there was a lot of people involved, and Aaron Ogletree was on the commission then too, or our historical preservation. So we heard all these meetings about how they had maintained the historical qualities of the buildings. So that was a big one. And also the other one was the Temple Aaron. Temple Aaron has been under sort of our purview, so to speak, to get that historical preservation money and the credits.
And I forwarded that email about Temple Aaron
Right,
Right.
and
about getting
So,
their national designation.
yes.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. Okay, yeah, well, I don't know if I was the only one that kind of didn't really get that, but it's just really helpful to have that conversation. Thank you, Chris, appreciate it very much. Anything else before we move towards adjournment?
Yeah, one thing. Council gave sort of a preliminary green light to an applicant from the college who's going to be applying for a mural permit. And our mural permit process, one of the boards that reviews a mural application is the historic preservation mural. And so that's probably going to be coming down the pipeline in the next month or two. And so that'll be a public hearing that you guys will get to weigh in on.
Nice.
Is it the white one?
It's going to be on the waterworks building or on the wall, the retaining wall of the waterworks building.
Well, I think that it's not just, certainly about, sort of status or having, I do want to do meaningful work, and I am, I think all of us do. I'll just speak for myself. I want to understand what I'm doing. I want to be responsible about what I'm doing, but I also want it to be, if it's an integral part of sort of what we're doing here in our town, how does that work? And we need help, I think, as a new commission, except for Jean, thank goodness, who gives us lots of historical information, that we do need that support and we need that guidance, but we also want to, contribute, and I think we can, and I think we are becoming, we're educating ourselves, we're willing to do the work to put together, I think, a really cool outreach event, and we want to be part of that conversation and to have it be, recognized and there be some reciprocity. That's how I feel. Any other comments before we adjourn for this evening? We're adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for all your help, everybody.
Thank you.